Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh. Bahasham Yahweh Shah, Bahasham Rachak, Kodash, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, wherever you may be. Wherever you may be, Shalom, Yasharallah, Shalom. All right, this will be super brief. Just some more stuff. Just pulling up America's report card, huh? So you have this guy, you have Augustus here. You know, if you know, you know. Augustus, he just ain't got no breaks, man. All right, so I got a couple clips here. The first one is obviously from a a news site. If you watch my news, clippings or whatever, this is one of my go-to sites. WeOn. So I got quite a few. Some of the main ones that I check constantly because I'll be in and out different foreign news sites or whatever. WeOn is one. All right, World is one. All right, WeOn News, AP News, African News, okay, or actually Africa News, but and then Straight Arrow News. Those are four particular, all right, that I constantly look into where most of my news comes from. But then I'll look all over. I'll randomly type in Europe news, Sudan news, Tajikistan news, China news, Korea news, Japan news, Canada news, Mexico news, Australia news, whatever. All right, Russian news, Ukrainian news, any everything. All right, any kind of wherever you want to search. All right, just. But these are some of my go-tos. So this first clip is about 2 minutes long, and we'll probably just let this one play. But this one is from WeOn News, and then we get into the second one, which is actually I don't know who the guy is. I actually saw that first, and then I went and got this news clip. But some guy, I guess, random podcast or whatever you want to call it, and we're actually gonna go in and talk about that one. So let's play from here.
And the United States has said that it expects new nuclear talks to take place soon with Iran. But Donald Trump continues to enforce sanctions and has called for global boycott of any amount of Iranian oil or petrochemicals. In the midst of negotiations for a new nuclear deal, Trump has vowed any country or person who buys any amount of oil or petrochemicals from Iran will be subject to secondary sanctions. He wrote on his Truth Social platform that all purchases of Iranian oil or petrochemical products must stop immediately. Now, this comes a day after Washington imposed sanctions on 7 firms accused of selling Iranian oil, 4 based in the UAE and 1 in Turkey. Iran has condemned the decision as economic terrorism. Both Iran and the US have reported progress in the 3 rounds of talks since April 12th, but Iran has said that the 4th round of talks with the Trump administration, which had been set to take place this weekend in Rome, has been delayed. In Washington, however, State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce said that the meeting had never been confirmed. She said that the U.S. expects another round of talks to take place in the near future.
This is what I can say about Iran, is that the United States was never confirmed to be participating in a 4th round of talks with Iran, which people had believed were Saturday in Rome, despite what there had been some reports. The timing and the venue had yet to be confirmed. I think, again, I would say this is a fluid situation, and I'm obviously saying things to you that are somewhat indistinct, but we expect another round of talks that will take place in the near future.
And another meeting scheduled between the Europeans and Iranians on Friday has also been cancelled. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noel Barrot has said that a technical meeting was planned prior to the high-level meetings between the United States and Iran, but since that meeting is not taking place, the technical meeting is no longer relevant, at least at that time.
All right, so we just slide over here and play this guy right from the top. Welcome back to report. So I guess this guy's name is Andy Borham, however you pronounce it, Andy Borham. Okay, the guy on the right. That's Xi Jinping. I think that's what his name is. So let's go and play this video. See, it's about 12 minutes long. So let's get into this.
Hello, 大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是
I'm not gonna be in Chinese. I promise.
President Donald Trump is proving again how much of a terrible negotiator he is, throwing his toys out of the cot after talks with Iran fell over. But there's an hilarious twist. Trump has issued a new dictatorial decree via Truth Social, saying that all countries and people who buy oil from Iran will be barred from doing business with the United States at all. And guess who buys 90% of Iranian oil? You got.
So, and that's a bold statement to make. Okay, as a matter of fact, let's see what he was gonna say next.
China. So on will be barred from doing business with the United States at all. And guess who buys 90% of Iranian oil? You got it, China. So on one hand, Trump.
So yeah, another attack on China, but really it's not so much as China at this time. It's more so China indirectly, right? Being that, as he just mentioned, they buy 90% of Iranian oil. But I mean, you could probably just do a quick search on what countries buy oil from Iran. All right, it's the same thing that was going on with Russia. They were trying to block Russia, from that, the oil, the freaking Nord Stream pipelines. All right, you have Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2. All right, so what people don't understand with those pipelines, there's actually two pipelines together in one. So you have two pipes here, and that's one, or A, all right, and then you have Nord Stream 2, which are also two more pipelines. That is pipeline B. All right, so it's really 4 pipes, but the first 2 are together and the second 2 are together. So those are, and we know the history behind that, okay, because that only happened a couple years back, all right, or something like that, okay, which we most people believe that it was America that sent in to sabotage, all right, and try to get away with that secretly, because we know how America operates anyways. So that was the same thing that was going on there, all right, because I believe that event happened after the annexation of Crimea. Then you had, I want to say the Nord Stream happened first. Then you had the Crimea Bridge situation, and then you also had like mines that were just randomly thrown around in I want to say it was in the Baltic Sea. So there was a lot of things that were going on around that particular time period. Okay, but I was just using an example of the same thing was going on with Russia, right? Because they supply to some European countries, if I'm correct. Okay, so you have Trump talking about whoever buys Iranian oil. All right, so here's the eagle, all right, poking at another nation, or actually, what I meant directly was at Iran, but it's a thing to all the nations, because let's say he would get what he wants, okay, so he would then hurt Iran, okay, but then he'd also be imposing themselves on the other countries, right, threatening them, okay, and it's all through his only weapon as of right now, which are tariffs. Okay.
Begging Beijing for a call, pleading with China to de-escalate the trade war that he began, while on the other hand, literally saying the US will stop doing business with China.
And we're going into this blind. I haven't had a chance to watch this yet. All right. I watched a couple things in it, but I really didn't get it. I really don't know what the heck's in this video. So we're watching this blind. We're watching it together. If scriptures come to mind, we'll grab them. All right. Like I said, it's more so just a quick hitter thing, just seeing some news and bringing it up, as I just said, bringing up America's report card, because a lot of things are going on right now. Okay, because the big talk of the town, like you can obviously see somewhere everywhere. So everybody's talking about grocery shelves being empty and this, that, and the third thing, because everybody's seeing what's slowly happening. All right, because of the tariffs. All right, and they're starting to what people thought it was a joke before. They're actually starting to see that this ain't a joke. It either affected me already, or it's going to affect me, all right, in the long run, all right, and maybe it'd be shorter to come than most people think. But let's keep back on this point.
Completely. Honestly, you can't make this stuff up. Also today, we asked Americans on the streets of Shanghai what they think of Trump's tariff tantrums. Today, we'll go beyond the propaganda. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Borham here in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is pleading with China to de-escalate the ongoing trade war between the world's 2 largest economies, claiming it's China's responsibility to ensure things don't get worse. He told CNBC, "As I repeatedly said, I believe that it's up to China to de-escalate, because they sell 5 times more to us than we sell to them. So these 120, 145% tariffs are unsustainable."
And that's a clever line. That's a clever line. Okay, and that's very clever. When you're not thinking about it, what he said there was very, very clever. Okay, they have to de-escalate because they sell more things to us. Well, I mean, that actually hurts your economy, not vice versa. As I mentioned the other day, there was a news. It's probably lost in cyberspace now, but something about China saying that, hey, we're going to do just fine without American goods, but America can't say the same thing. So the way whoever, I forgot because the name went away too quick, whoever said that, All right. Very cleverly placed as in word wise, but you looking past the words that were said there. All right. That's basically, fooling people. For those that hear those words and believe it, you're fooling the people. Okay.
That they are, but this trade war happens to have been started by your boss.
Yeah, Trump.
The same man
Augustus.
who, at the same time, has issued another unachievable dictatorial decree demanding the world stop buying oil and petrochemicals from Iran or risk being barred from doing business with the US at all. He made this post on Truth Social saying,
and like I said, now what if he was able to do that? Obviously, it's not every country, but whatever countries are buying from Iran, okay? So maybe let's say America is able to press that power out. And then they say, well, we don't care what you say. We're not going to stop buying oil from Iran. So, well, that means you can't do any deals with us anymore. What does that do? It hurts the American economy even more because these people are going to continue doing what they do. These other countries, they're going to continue doing this, doing that, the third thing. They'll just source their goods from elsewhere. They'll keep buying their Iranian oil. And then the American people, let's say that some of those countries actually ship goods here. That means either the goods are going to be skyrocket high or they're not going to be sold at all anymore. So America is going to have to source that particular good from another country. And obviously that's not going to be from China. So, I mean, it's just a whole ball of mess that's going on in Babylon right now. And the Lord is doing this, man. Okay. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Okay. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch. And then I'm not saying this is going to be something major, but I'm just pointing out the obvious things here that are going on.
any country or person who buys any amount of oil or petrochemicals from Iran will be subject to immediately secondary sanctions. They will not be allowed to do...
Yeah, secondary because he already put sanctions on everybody. All right. Trump and America done win what's my man for training day? All right. Oh, you shot me. Oh, you shot me in the... Jake. He done tripped out, man. Okay. Just lashed out at everybody. But of course we know that's the world stage. But there's a bigger thing going on behind the scenes. Everything is orchestrated. And all those things orchestrated, even if because they're from the left-hand side, they're still orchestrated going back to the Heavenly Father controlling things just from the left-hand side. He has things that he does on the right-hand side, and he has things that he does on the left. Okay? So they pretty much going full training there right now.
Business with the United States of America in any way, shape, or form. But guess what? Iran's biggest customer in terms of oil is China, buying around 90% of the country's exports, around 1.8 million barrels per day. So does that mean Trump doesn't want to negotiate with China to end his tariff war now? Will he just completely end tariffs altogether in lieu of a complete and total ban on all business with China? Well, that's the next logical step, which makes his post on Truth Social absolutely and utterly ludicrous. He's already seen after his April 2 Liberation Day tariffs that China does not play games. Does he truly believe that Beijing will see his post on Truth Social and cease all oil purchases from Iran? China will not have its domestic affairs dictated to by anyone, let alone President Donald Trump, a man who's made an absolute laughingstock of himself on the world stage. Or maybe he doesn't know that China is Iran's biggest oil customer, which would make his Truth Social post even more ludicrous.
Come on now. Now, he knows, all right? He's the president. He's well informed by his, I don't know, cabinet or whoever informs the president. He's well informed, all right? He knows those types of things. I'm pretty positive. And if he doesn't, there's people around him that know, that can tell him, all right? So he knows.
10 times as insane. But really, what else can we expect from President Donald Trump? This latest threat stems from Trump's self-initiated negotiations with Iran.
And see, that's the thing. I won't say Trump's stupid. Okay, he's not like flat out stupid like people think. He may not be a super smart guy, but the dude ain't just flat out stupid, right? Okay, he knows some things. Okay, and he's going off of a script. All right, he ain't as dumb as people think he is. I mean, he's not a pretty smart guy, but he ain't that dumb like people think he is. I mean, if Biden can do it, come on now. What about Trump? Well, Biden put on a good show. We'll just leave it at that.
Recently, with Iran accusing the US side of showing a lack of goodwill and seriousness in advancing the path of diplomacy. Iran's foreign minister announced on Twitter that the fourth round of talks had been postponed, before adding, "On Iran's part, there is no change in our determination to secure a negotiated solution. In fact, we are more determined than ever to achieve a just and balanced deal, guaranteeing an end to sanctions and creating confidence that Iran's nuclear program will forever remain peaceful while ensuring that Iranian rights are fully respected." But Trump, who claims to be a master negotiator, doesn't like it when the other side has its own goals and demands fair treatment. So his response to not getting his own way, as always, is to throw his toys out of the cot without pausing, reflecting, and coming up with a sound and responsible strategy. Instead, he jumps on social media and makes reckless posts that not only further ruin his talks with Iran, but threaten to end trade completely between the world's two largest economies. You guys, the next few days is going to be very interesting. And now for something a little bit different, Shanice and Oliver went out on the streets of Shanghai this week to find ordinary Americans and ask what they think about Trump's tariff war with China. Let's check it out.
This is Shanice from Shifted. We've been hearing a lot about tariffs and trade wars, but how do these policies actually feel as an American living here in China? Are they worried about price hikes? Do their opinions differ from their family members back home? Or is it all just background noise? We decided to hit the streets of Shanghai to find out.
I would just explain it in like the Chinese way, which is just like a border tax.
How would I explain tariffs to my mom?
It's a tax or like fee on imported goods from another place.
See, they honestly don't even know what tariffs are. They know the basic, thing about tariffs, but they don't know the deeper understanding about tariffs, all right? Some of these people probably don't even know what tariffs are at all, okay? He says like sales tax on steroids. You see, these people are clueless, man, okay?
Like sales tax on steroids. That's probably the simplest way to explain it.
My mom actually believes that the tariffs are a good thing because she believes that they will bring more jobs back to the U.S.
Sometimes in the U.S., people don't even understand what a tariff is.
Back in America,
And you know why his mother said that? Because of the speech that Trump gave. She's probably a Trump supporter, where he says that, some speech he was talking about. You're gonna have loads and loads of money. You have so much money, you're not gonna know what to spend. This and that. Hey, he wasn't talking about the people though, okay? But she believed, okay, in the speech, and so she believes what he says. So she thinks that the tariffs are good because Trump gives these, extravagant speeches and says things about having loads and loads of money. All right, you have so much money. It's just nonsense. All right. So like I said, these people have no idea what tariffs truly, are, what they represent. All right. Because for her to say that goes to show you she doesn't know that it comes out of her own pockets. All right. The taxpaying dollars.
People think that China is paying the tariff when it's really
someone knows.
Paying extra on.
You see, somebody knows.
Ooh, tariffs haven't really affected my life here, I would say.
Well, they've affected my life in China in the sense that it's causing me stress and anxiety reading about what's happening back home and knowing that my family members back in the U.S. are having to pay extra for things.
I don't believe that they have yet. I definitely think that it will probably affect me the longer I stay here or even back home, but specifically here if a trade war happens.
How many American products do I buy in China? I haven't bought any American products.
I mean, besides like fast food? Yeah.
Everything. Food,
Very little.
Yeah, fast food, right? Number one chain, McDonald's. You can find that somewhere everywhere, right?
I would say...
Because I am an American, there are a few things that we buy here that probably someone who is Chinese would not buy. But the amount of products that we buy here that are made in America is very small compared to in the U.S. the amount of products that we buy in the U.S. that are made in China, which is the majority of products.
Right, which is the major difference there. All right, that's why Xi Jinping said what he said. We would do just fine without American products because the average person there, all right, or the majority numbers of people there are Chinese people anyways. They're Moabites. But then, of course, just like all because of time and travel and things of nature, you have a sprinkle of all nations of people in all countries. Just Babylon is the biggest place for that. It's the biggest melting pot for that. But there's different peoples of different nations also in China. Man, most of the goods there, the Chinese people are going to buy the Chinese goods. They don't need to buy American goods. But when it comes to America, the majority of your products come from China. There's things that are made in other places, but there's a major majority number of things that have made in China on it. So when it comes to America, they can't say what Xi Jinping has said, that we'll do fine without American products and stuff like that. Trump can't say that, okay? America can't say that because it's going to affect the people because so much comes from China.
I just feel like the U.S. doesn't really talk about like normal...
That's a beautiful question there because brothers speak about this all the time, all right? Watching non-mainstream news media because everything over here in America is run, by the same governmental entity, all right? We know we're talking about the bangers, right? The issues, the propeller hats, okay? So you can get news from across seas if you go on, to the right channels, which I have a list. Okay. I have, such a long list. Like when I pop up, like in YouTube, it'd be just me news. Okay. But because I look in so many different places though. All right. So, it's, because your searches are usually saved in there automatically. So a lot of times all I have to do is just punch up W, and right then and there I'll see WION. Then I'll see a list of other news. Hindustan news. Oh, First Post is another one that I use often, right? Amongst those other ones I mentioned. First Post, whatever else, Africa, so on and so forth. 9 News. That's another one I go into often. All right. There's 2 different 9 Newses, but you get my point though. All right. But yeah, when you would listen to these newscasters from across seas, they'll give you the straight stories. Wherein America will water it down, and then sometimes they won't even tell you something that's going on anyway. So you never hear it unless you heard it from another, news. I don't know what to call them, news. I just say newscaster or whatever, right? From one of these foreign countries, man.
Chinese life that much.
When people are looking at the news, is it different from what I see here in China? Most definitely, because you have, ABC, NBC, all these different platforms, and it's more so on a Western type of platform. It makes sense because they're not here. But when you're in another place, it's going to be secondhand, third-hand information.
And that's done strategically, okay? The American people are always kept in the dark. And if you hear some breaking news in America, it's something they wanted you to know, okay? They wanted you to focus on this. Okay. Otherwise, you don't hear about certain things. Okay. You have to go to other news medias or whatever from other countries to find out certain things that are going on there. Because if America does report on it, they'll manipulate it. All right. They make it seem like they're the good guys all the time, and this person is bad, and they did this and they did that, and that is going on. And then we hear the other news like, well, it's the same news, but it's delivered differently. All right. Because that's what America does, all right? It manipulates the people, it keeps them blind, keeps them deaf, keeps them dumb, all right?
I don't watch a lot of news anymore, but the phone calls and the messages I get from my dad about things that are going on in China, I'm like, what news are you watching? I find that there's a bit of misinformation that happens.
That's funny, because sometimes I see in the news, and I say, that's propaganda. The way that, like in the U.S., they say, "Oh, this is propaganda, Chinese propaganda." And
perfect.
When I read the news here from the Western perspective, I say, "That's the Western propaganda."
See, that's Western propaganda. Okay, said in a different way, lies or manipulation. Okay, they're going to spin it in their own way to deliver it, and that's if they plan on delivering you that news at all. Whereas across seas, they actually tell the people what's going on. They'll tell the people when they need to prepare for this, when they need to do this, stop doing that, whatever the case may be. All right. Whereas Western news will manipulate the people every single time. Okay. And if they do show you something, that means they wanted you to know that piece of news or information, and they wanted you to focus on that.
Responsibility? No.
Yeah, I do. I really do. Now I feel even more so that I need to almost be a defender of China because there's so much misunderstanding. People just,
and that's the thing that America does. It always makes everybody else look like it's the bad guy. Okay, that's why we spoke recently about Russia. Okay, Putin sat down with Tucker Carlson and gave you a whole back history for the whole world to see. This is why we want Ukraine, and it's all valid because they say it belongs to us. We're going to take back what belongs to us. We annexed Crimea because it belongs to us. This bridge that's connecting all these things. All right, this is our pipeline. This is our land here. That's our land there. Whatever they're saying, they were backing up with history and facts. Okay, but when you listen to America, oh, they're the bad guy. Okay, these people, they deserve their independence and all this nonsense. All right, so they spin it like they want, and because the people live here in America, they're always going to take the American side of things. They don't take the factual side of things, which we don't take any side, but I'm just making a point. They don't take the factual side of things. They take the American side because they're being manipulated by the government because they think the government really truly loves them.
One, good job, a place to live, personal security. No one here wants to take over the U.S. I mean, it's ridiculous. I feel like I need to inform my fellow Americans. No, it's not really like that.
I do. Because as someone who's spent a total of about 5.5 years living in China, I do think it's part of my responsibility, and not just to parrot what people want me to say in America or in China, but kind of like to find the middle road.
I think Trump likes to do this thing where he's like, I'm gonna make life worse for you but then I'm going to make it better by taking it back. Like with the whole TikTok ban where he's like, it was him that started the TikTok ban, and then he's the one that removed it and was like, see how good I am, guys.
I don't know. Honestly, with that, I'm not exactly sure. Even people who are next to Trump, they don't even know. So to ask me, what is it going to look like? I have no idea.
I would hope that it's all just political and that the pendulum will swing back very soon. The fact that, tariffs create just more stress on the economy. Of course, economic stresses turn into personal stresses, and personal stresses turn into personal conflict, bloodshed, all of that stuff. So I would just hate to see it go that far.
It doesn't matter, because even if he only does it short term, the die has been cast, as we say. The trust factor is lost, okay? You don't know if in another 6 months, if something else is going to happen.
I feel like we've already hurt ourselves longer term, at least for the next couple years, because of all of the investors and companies being continually off balance and not knowing how can they possibly ever invest more in our country if he's constantly changing the message.
I feel that people should be more sympathetic toward China. Just realize that China is still a developing country, but that doesn't mean that people are, living in, as JD Vance said, peasants. That is such a derogatory and horrible thing to say about Chinese people.
I guess, to people back at home, we are a smaller world than what we are realizing, and that people who are making the products, whoever that may be, even if it's back at home, they are important. Everyone is important in this whole, the whole circle.
Get off in front of your TVs and your social media and come outside. Come hang out in China.
Wow, a lot of calm and reasoned opinions there. Good to see. And on that note, that will be it for today, guys. But as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Does Trump realize China is Iran's biggest oil customer? And do you think China will buckle and stop buying Iranian oil? Let me know down below. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe
if China ain't buckled yet. Of course, probably not. But like I said before, another huge question, because I see the focus is on China. But how many, what other countries, actually do buy their oil from Iran? All right, so. But like I said, just another quick video I wanted to get into. I saw it. I want to speak on it real quick because I just thought it was interesting. So, we'll leave it at that. Lord willing, you were edified to next time. I want to say shalom.